Pastor Todd here with a devotional for February 6th. What's going on in Psalm 34? It seems that in reflecting back later on this close escape from death, David realized in spite of his failure, God had been gracious in rescuing him. True, David had been in a very tight spot, but that did not justify his deception. He actually continued this pattern of deception with Achish, convincing him he was raiding Israeli villages when he was actually slaughtering off inhabitants of the land. This almost resulted in David's being forced to go into battle with the Philistines against his own countrymen. It also resulted in the capture of David's and his men's wives and property, so that his own men were talking of stoning him. So sometimes after David recovered from all of these difficult trials caused by his own panic and deception, he penned Psalm 34. He realizes now that deception and evil are not the way of the good life. Rather, seeking God for his deliverance, fearing him and walking in his ways are the way to enjoy God and his blessings. Even some conservative commentators have said the psalm does not bear any resemblance to the circumstances alluded to in the title, but there are connections that can be made. In verses 4 through 6, David alludes to the extreme danger he was in. Some may ask, how can he say he cried out to the Lord for deliverance when he was using deception to get out of the jam? The answer is that he did both. It's rare, especially for younger believers, to be completely pure in our methods, especially when we're in sudden crisis. So the psalm is a testimony to God's grace in bearing with our weaknesses. This does not justify our sin, but it does magnify God's grace toward his weak children. Further allusions to David's situation include verse 7, which pictures the angel of the Lord guarding David's camp at the cave of Adullam, where he fled from Achish. Verse 10 refers to the lions that inhabited the area. Some commentators take this as a poetic reference to powerful human leaders, but it would be natural for David to refer to the hungry lions he saw around him, contrasting them with God's care for him and his men. Verses 13 and 18 reflect David's later repentance as he thought back on his panicked use of deception, and verse 20 reflects David's safe escape from the Philistines. He was probably handled roughly, but he got away with no broken bones.